Hi, everyone. I'm right before the intermission, so good job, y'all. Hang on, actually, 1 second. Don't go anywhere. One more second. Sorry. As most people under 50, I primarily use texting to communicate. I'm sure most of you all text on a normal basis, hopefully not now. That would be kind of rude. But texting is not all we have to communicate. Technology has advanced beyond belief. Whoops, wrong slide. We have so many options these days on how to communicate. Has anyone faxed anything recently? I tried to do that a few days ago. I'm still not sure if it went through or not. But we really could do almost anything. Except time travel. Why can't we time travel yet? Where are the CEOs who are working on that? I need time travel in my life. Not for every day, just once. I need to go back 5 years ago to this day. I want to meet my past self. Shake her hand, say, "Hi, I'm Kai." Watch her try to figure out who I am. See, 5 years ago, I looked like this. I was preparing to marry a rabbi. My mother had met him on her friend's staircase and decided that he would be the perfect match for me. I met him 8 times, and I was going to spend the next 80 years with him. Every single thing I had done, every decision in my life culminated to this event when I was going to marry the first guy I'd ever dated. The plan was very simple. Get married, be a good wife, teach in a religious school, and have as many children as humanly possible. My entire world was a few square miles in Brooklyn and had even fewer choices. There was nothing for me really to do except believe and follow the course that had been set for me since I was born. Yeah, the plan didn't exactly work. It takes time, though, to realize that a plan isn't working. It takes hours of tears and sweat and threats and arguments and research and tens of thousands of dollars to leave a toxic marriage and a community bent on keeping the marriage together at all costs. It took everything I had to create my own individual self, to leave all I knew behind. Now my world became millions of miles long and had endless of opportunities and choices. And I did it. I created my own identity, my own individual self. I created my own view on the meaning of life and where I wanted to go. Wonderful. Now what? I still had the father of my child to deal with, my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents, uncles, aunts, hundreds of cousins, neighbors, class, childhood friends, you get the gist. And all of them had really strong opinions about the course of my life. I felt alone and defensive. So my solution, I shut everyone out. The people in Broward College my first semester made me realize something, though. See, I was not normal. I didn't grow up around normal people, and honestly, y'all kind of scared me. I was alone, I was vulnerable. Everyone else probably communicated just fine, was able to navigate the world perfectly. But in my introduction to speech class, a class literally all about communication, I realized that most people felt isolated too. So communication seemed like a problem globally, even for normal people. But why? I believe that for multiple reasons, we create walls around ourselves. See, the definition of a wall is a structure that encloses or divides an area, but we create figurative walls as well. We believe that the walls will keep us safe. But what we really need are boundaries. A wall and a boundary might seem the same, but they're two very, very different things. A boundary is a line that marks limits to an area. See, a wall is like this big, opaque, mighty structure. And a boundary is just a limit where one thing starts and another thing ends. And as a society, we need more boundaries. We need them emotionally, we need them physically, we need them mentally. So many wonderful things happen when we create boundaries. So many wonderful things happen when we communicate effectively. Look how many wars the UN has prevented historically. And scary things happen when we shut people out. Just recently, we had the longest government shutdown in history. Over a wall. Yeah, a physical wall. But the government was a connotative wall as well. There was this side and that side, and nobody communicated. And as a result, over 800,000 federal workers were affected. Think about that for a second, 800,000 people. I broke down my walls, and I invite you to do the same. When we stand behind a wall, we're just as vulnerable as we were before. We're just as weak. The moment we step out, or the moment someone jumps over it, we are just as vulnerable to their toxic opinions, their control. We allow them to impact part of our lives that they really shouldn't. Boundaries, though, are a mindset of strength. When we set boundaries, we allow another person in, but so are we. We don't lose ourselves. We can hear what they have to say and keep our truth. Boundaries create a positive space where we can hold on to our genuine identity and yet have other people in our lives so that we are not alone. Great. So we want boundaries. We need boundaries. How do we create boundaries? The first thing we can do is identify. Identify yourself. Who are you? How have you changed? How have you grown? How are you different than the way you were raised? Identify the people around you. Who do you spend time with? What kind of conversations do you have on a daily basis? Notice the people that support you, the people that bring you down. What family members have you shut out? What family members are a little too close? Once you identify who you are and the people that you interact with, draw the line. Every person is unique, every person is different, and every person is going to need different lines. For some people, it might be saying no. For other people, it might be having an open and honest conversation. And when conversations just won't cut it, it might be figuring out a different way to communicate or a mediator. Once you know who you are and you have drawn your boundaries, listen. Engage in the world. Dialogue can bring us so much farther than we can go by ourselves. We don't need to agree with people. We don't need to change our minds. We don't need to change their minds. Just listen. Imagine a world where we can all communicate effectively. A world where proper communication and boundaries could prevent things like government shutdowns, war, social isolation. Technology has brought us to an era where we can communicate with anyone, regardless of their gender, their race, their religion, their political beliefs, their sexuality. Every single person is important. None of us should ever have to feel alone. We need to break down the walls that divide us and create healthier boundaries instead. Thank you.